As requested by Pete, he did not want a funeral or a burial. As his family, we have implemented his request fully. But he didn't say I couldn't make a video to eulogize him. On behalf of Severine, Sean, Sky, myself, and Sue, we are grateful that you're not only watching this video, but that you've been reaching out to us. First, I'd like to personally thank Billy Williams. You've been friends since forever, since IBM, since DPS. Thank you for being there for him. Thank you for being there for us. I'm grateful that you were his friend throughout this entire time of his life, and I am so honored. Thank you. Thank you, Ernest Garcia. When you lost your dad, Pete really stepped up to fill that role. And it seemed like you did the same for him when he had lost his son. You've been each other's surrogate, and I really appreciate everything that you did for him. Thank you so much. We love you so much. So when I first told him I was having triplets, he was really quiet and not really sure what that meant. He did make it clear that they were never going to play pool. And I think he was shocked, and I was scared. And I don't think anyone ever thought I would be a mother, much less to triplets, and him being the first to admit that. He told me he would help me raise them. And I didn't believe him until I had handed Sky to him when he was about a day old to feed him. It was the first baby he had ever held, and Sky was about 4 pounds at the time. Once the babies came home, he was already doing diaper changes and feedings. He got them a stroller made by a Ford engineer, and he said it was the only Ford he would ever own. I don't think anyone ever really knew. I don't think anyone ever really knew what he meant when he said he was playing cars with the boys. He was taking them to swap meets and car shows. And he would just say, I'm playing cars with the boys. But I don't think anyone ever knew it was from 1948 to 1967, especially Chevys. I didn't believe him when he said he wouldn't let them play pool. It was the first thing I did as soon as I could stand on my own. He covered the table with stuff and started hiding the cues and the balls. He had his boys, and he gave up watching wrestling shows to let them watch the Wiggles. Nene would tease him and jump all over him, and he would get mad at me because Sean wanted me to put him to sleep, and he took it personally when they wanted their mother. The boys saw him almost every single day for the last 18 years. And even when I tried to give them breaks, they would make excuses to see each other. As he became sicker and his body frailer, the boys really took ownership of his care. But he still wanted to help Sky put a tractor together. He wanted to still be their grandpa and to be funny. He never lost his sense of humor. And after his fingers were amputated, he had asked Sky, have you seen my fingers? I think I lost them. And Sky wasn't sure if it was the medication or shock, that he was delirious. I kept thinking that he should have said that to Nene because Nene would have gotten it. I learned a lot about marriage from my parents. They got married really young, and for almost 55 years they stayed together, and even to the end they were together. And it hadn't been easy. They fought, and then they didn't. They took care of each other in a way that most of us will never experience. I learned to not give up on people. My brother and I learned to cook because he seemed to have developed a taste for my mother's food, and after 55 years it became normal. In the hospital, he asked me to show him pictures of my food and asked me if the boys ate any of it. I thought that was funny. Whenever I was leaving the house, even when I was a kid living with my parents, I would say, I'll see you later. When they left my house, he would tell me the same thing until it just became our thing. The boys would tell me sometimes, just go over there and see him to say goodnight, because there were some nights where they didn't know if he would make it through. So I would straighten up his blanket and say, I'll see you later. And one of the times he was being taken by the ambulance, I said, I'll see you later. And it became our cue of me. It became my cue to tell him not to die today. On November 29th, the boys went to get him out of bed as they did every morning. They called 911 because something was wrong. And at the time, I thought maybe it was bradycardia because his blood pressure was really low. His heart rate was really low. He had stayed in the hospital as we all coasted through his care. And he had just had his infected bag removed from what seems like this endless series of surgeries. He had kidney disease and diabetes. He had gone through walking with the assistance of a cane from a stroke last December to the boys having to pick him up to move him into a wheelchair in the course of 12 months. His left hand had 3 fingers amputated, a perforated intestine that had been cauterized. His catheter had been rotated from his left arm, right arm, neck, chest, stomach. He had gone through pulmonary aspiration, which is why he really couldn't speak towards the last week or so of his life. On Friday, December 18th, 2020, he coded during his dialysis treatment. We were called to come to the ICU, and at first they only allowed 2 of us at a time. And he had rotated us so many times that the nurses just got frustrated and let us all go in together. And he refused treatment. And he told the nurses, die. We all said those things that we wish we could say, asking for forgiveness, saying our thank yous. We had this amazing opportunity. We called the siblings. Emma said it's Pete's daughter, Petey's daughter. He wanted to share this moment of being able to say goodbye. And that night I had said, I will see you later, fully expecting not to. But he lived through that night, and we went the next day, that Saturday, and my mother was already there, and we had stayed with him quietly. I washed his face. I told him I needed to feed the babies, and we would come back. He would nod his head yes or no. When we got to the parking lot, he had passed away, and I knew he was waiting for me to take the babies out of the room. His pulse rate was fluctuating, and I just knew he didn't want us there. We ran back to the room, and he was gone. We stayed with him for a few hours, and I really didn't want to go home without my father. But I also didn't want to see his body being removed. I waited for Dragon to just come get us and lead us out of the hospital. And I kissed my dad goodbye and told him I will see you later. Pete was a friend and an uncle, a brother, a husband, and for me, we had this awkward relationship that was obvious to everyone, and no one really knew what had happened between us. And I will say, our parents teach us things. I learned how to hold a cube before I could hold a fork. I learned about engines and spotting car parts. But in the end, I learned forgiveness. I learned that even when a person takes the wrong side or doesn't believe you or goes against you until your heart is full of hate, that can heal. It goes away and the scars fade. People keep asking what they can do for us. If I need anything, and this is what I need. I need you to forgive. I need you to let go of the pain that people have caused you. We are only human and we make mistakes. We forget, we dismiss. We watch things that we shouldn't, be in places that we shouldn't. We get into our own heads and say the things that we shouldn't say. Guard your mouth. Creation is manifested by what we say. It changes the universe and the way you look at the universe and the way the universe looks at you. Look at the people around you and see their value. Be present when someone talks to you. This is the greatest gift that could ever be given. Treat strangers appropriately. Everybody belongs to somebody. this is a stranger to you, but a brother, a sister, a parent, or a lover. Acknowledge each other because no one is invisible. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for keeping us in your hearts and in your minds. And God willing, I will see you later.
Tienes todos los espacios inundados de tu ausencia, inundados de silencio. No hay palabras, no hay perdón. Tú me tienes olvidado, no respondes al llamado. No eches tierra a la palabra, me condenas a la nada. No me entierres sin perdón. Mira, corazón, que es el engaño, se revierte y hace daño, se revienta en el aire como pompas de jabón. ¿Cómo pude haberte yo herido, engañarte y ofendido? Alma gemela, no te olvido aunque me arranque el corazón. Ay, el rencor que nos envenena, nos hace daño. Aunque no regreses, corazón, has de perdonarme. El verdadero amor perdona, no abandona, no se quiebra, no aprisiona, no revienta como pompas de jabón. Un error es algo humano, no justifico la traición. Los amantes verdaderos se comprenden, se aman y se olvidan del rencor. La noche empieza a amotinarse de sueños rotos y el dolor, y me revuelco en esta cama, aferrándome a la nada, implorando tu perdón. Mira, corazón, cuánto te extraño. Pasan días, pasan años, y mi vida se revienta como pompas de jabón. ¿Cómo pude haberte yo herido, engañarte y ofendido? Alma gemela, no te olvido aunque me arranque el corazón. Ay, el rencor que nos envenena, nos hace daño. Aunque no regreses, corazón, has de perdonarme. El verdadero amor perdona, no abandona, no se quiebra, no aprisiona, no revienta como pompas de jabón. El verdadero amor perdona, el verdadero amor perdona. Si el amor es verdadero, no se quiebra, no abandona. El verdadero amor perdona, el verdadero amor perdona. Si el amor es verdadero, no se quiebra, no abandona. Si el amor es verdadero, no se quiebra, no abandona.